1 minute.
Oops.
Welcome to the Juice Radio Talk Show. 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 Reality TV's church reviews. Let's talk happy love and marriage lifestyle. Come and talk with us. Come and share with us. Come and laugh with us. Come on and pray with us.
Regina Clovis, special guest. You should be following your lead. Bless. Subscribe on YouTube. Listen on podcasts. We live on IG and Facebook. This episode is sponsored by TruthAndTriumph Ministries.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is Executive Pastor Tawana Grant, and I am so excited to have you with us today as we prepare to talk about our new series. We're going to be talking about recession-proofing your business, financial strategies for uncertain times. How many know that times like these, it can feel uncertain? You don't know which way our government decisions will now lead us to, with the ways that we are actually looking to our new governing body, how they're looking at policies. And so we want to make sure that you as a business owner start to look at in particularly those things that can influence where you are, where your business is, because a lot of times it depends, of course, on your field or industry of study. And so it makes a difference that you are following information and that you are tracking against these key indicators. So we'll be going into a 7-part series. 7-part series. What do you mean, Second Pastor? We want to make sure that we are giving you some foundational content to help you to prepare in advance, to help you so that you can have an idea of what might be coming. And because you now have this information, then you can level set and right set yourself so that you can make good decisions, right? Wise decision based on information. Scripture says, in the company of many, there's safety. And so we're so glad that all of you are joining us today, so that in the company of many of us, we all are gleaning information, and so that we're able to make wise decisions so that our business will have solvency, stability, and that we'll have the infrastructure necessary to be able to navigate as things change. And so today we're going to have 7 points that we're going to cover. Recession-proofing your business. We need to make sure that we're prepared so that even as, what do they say about the boat? The boat was meant to be on water. So your business is intended to last through all the seasons that life goes through. But what you have to do is you have to make sure that you recession-proof yourself so that you can maintain, so that you can continue to drive with purpose and passion on your mission. And so today we're going to be talking about the first one, which is understanding economic indicators. How do I read what's going on? And then we're going to be talking about cash flow management, diversification strategies, smart budgeting, and cost cutting. We're going to talk about accessing capital in challenging times. How do I get to money if I might need it? Investing in business resilience. How do I invest in my own business? How I invest to make sure that I shore up areas that might be weak in my business. And then personal finance tips for entrepreneurs. What are some personal tips that you as an entrepreneur need to be aware of so that you are tracking against this coming changing market? All right, so we really want to encourage you today that we are looking at economic indicators. Economic indicators. What are you talking about? Those things that help us explain what's happening in our financial infrastructure, right? It helps us to make a good business and financial decisions. It helps us to also make sure that we set expectations for the season. Because how many know sometimes when you are driving your business and you have a plan, which is great. We always talk about having a plan, right? You want to make sure that you're planning, because if you fail to plan, you've already planned to fail. So you want to make sure that you are planning ahead. But if you don't shift in your plan based on what you see moving, you could be working on a plan that was good 6 months ago, that was good 12 months ago, but it may not make it for today. And so this is why we're saying you're going to have to be able to watch the trends. And this is important as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a professional, as a ministry leader, that you're walking and watching. Walking and watching. You're making momentum. You're moving forward, but you're also watching so that you can adjust and so that you can pivot. So today we're going to talk about some of those crucial economic indicators for strategy planning, some of those things that you need to be aware of for risk management. Risk is something that could happen. And so you want to make sure, we talked about before, the SWOT analysis, your strengths, your weaknesses, what could come after you, right? Where you have ability to opportunities, and then your threats. So your strength, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and then your threats. So you were looking out for what could happen. So that as you move along in this year, we're in January, and things have already happened in January, right? New policies have already been presented. And so some of them may be impactful to your space. And so as things are moving, you want to be watching and monitoring so that you know how to manage risk. You want to understand those key indicators that businesses like you and myself, business owners, we can anticipate for market shifts. We can optimize our resources. We want to have our people working on the right thing at the right time. And so you don't want to be trailing. We don't always want to be on the bleeding edge, but we want to be on the leading edge, right? So we have a risk tolerance that everybody should have in their business. You have a risk tolerance personally. There's certain things personally that you will stretch out to do. And then you also have a tolerance level when you say, wait a minute, that's too much. I don't want to risk that, because if I stretch myself then I jeopardize what I have going. And so you want to understand, what is your risk tolerance? And then we want to have a real world relevance about what does the drop in GDP mean for your sales, right? So when the growth index is dropping, what does that mean to you? And so here again, we want to talk about what is the economic trends that have impacted you and your business in the past year. So this is key. You need to look at trends. Last year's policies or changements or adjustments or economic health climate, as things pivoted, as things change, what influenced you? Because whatever influenced you last year, you should be leveraging that as an indicator of some of the things that you need to be monitoring for in this year. It is an indicator in your past year so that you are prepared in this year. Again, so we want to talk about that. So leading and lagging indicators, leading and lagging. So there are differing between leading and lagging indicators and how they are relevant to your decision making. We talked about it. Leading. So what are some of these leading indicators? These are some of the things that predict the future economic activity. Leading, where are we going? Example, what is the stock market performance? What is the consumer confidence index? What is the new business formations are saying? How they help your business. It helps you to forecast demand. It helps you adjust your operating appropriately, because now I'm looking at these key indicators that are leading me, that are giving me the perception and the awareness and the understanding of what's going to happen ahead with the forecasting demand. Is it going to be a high demand for my product? Is this now the time in the season so that I work again to ensure that I have enough demand supply? If demand is going to come up, then I need to make sure it's a leading indicator that I need to make sure that my vendors or my sources of supply are ready to handle my demand, because I've got to take the most of this opportunity, right? And then where do I adjust my operations appropriately? Where is it that I'm doing my ebb and flows? Where is it that I'm increasing or drawing down? These are the kind of indicators that will allow me to be able to be ahead, to operate in the flow of the economy, to go with the wind. Yes. How many know this year with your business, we want to win behind our back. And so we want to rock with the wind. We want to move when the wind is going. We want to make sure that we are operating in faith in such a way that when it is time, when the time is right, I'm ready. What do they say? If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And so some of these indicators are what's going to help us to stay ready so that as things shift and change, we are easy to navigate. Right? And so lagging indicators, what are these things that are falling behind? These things confirm existing trends. And so these are the things that are behind that say, yes, that's true. This is a concurrence. This is a confirmation. This is an agreement of what you already had identified as a leading indicator. So here's an example, the unemployment rate. Some of those things, right, they are lagging indicators. They say, yeah, it's still slow, or yes, it's moving up, because that's what that unemployment rate is a reference to, is what has already happened, right? Corporate earnings. What did we already earn? That showed us whether or not the decisions that we made, if we made them well, if we were thinking about the right resource points to make our decisioning. And the GDP growth, right? As it is growing, it is a lagging indicator of where we are. So have we made good decisions to get us to where we are? This helps you to validate your past strategies. This is how it helps you. These lagging indicators, they are still important. They are still crucial. Why? Because it helps you to understand, did my previous strategy work well? Or was I moving too slow? Or was I moving too fast? Was I able to pivot my organization in such a way that it made lasting impressions? So now this lagging indicator lets me reinforce and confirm, right? And then it helps you to refine for your future ones. So again, it can confirm whether you did well or you didn't. And if it confirms to you that you did not do well, and then here you are to refine it. Here you are to make adjustments. Here you are to do something different. Here you are to do something new. And so if you're looking at your indicators and your indicators are showing you that you move too slow, the next time you need to be ahead of it. And so that's the importance of looking at these financial indicators. Even though we are recognizing them in a lagging form, it still helps us to revalidate where we did before and where we need to adjust. And so they are just as important as our leading indicators, right? And so case studies have shown business leverage leading indicators to expand successfully, right? To expand successfully. And then business often leverage lagging indicators to ensure that their resilience and solvency is in place. Okay, so we use normally leading indicators to let us know how to expand successfully, how to move out into new lanes, how to grasp new information, right? And so we want to make sure that you are using these leading and lagging indicators to help you in decision making. Listen, information is powerful, but only if you use it. And so we have a lot of information. We have a lot of access to information. But if you don't use it, then we are quick to make decisions without the appropriate support. What is your support? What is your data that gave you the inclination that this was the right thing to do? And so you definitely need to be aware of the information that is made available to you. Even if you're in ministry, you're looking at the trends of how ministry operate and flow. We already know near the end of the year, things might oftentimes slow down during that period, right? Just think about it. The timing when there's bad weather, things slow down in different businesses and different organizations. So you have to look at those kind of trends. And that's what we said, lagging trends are just as important and as valuable as is it leading trends, because both of them can help you in your decision-making capacity, right? We're talking about today how you can use this information to be more strategic in our understanding, using indicators to make good decisions. Next one is deep dive into our key economic decisions. So we talked about it. We talked about it real quickly, understanding economic indicators. We talk about how it's so important to look at leading and lagging indicators. But now we want to talk about some of these key economic indicators. We talked about the GDP, gross domestic product. This measures, this is the measurement of the total economic output of the country. How are we doing? How are we doing as a country? A high GDP growth signals expansion opportunities. It shows that the country is still spending, shows that the country is still doing well. And so you as a business owner can take advantage of that and ride the waves. But a declining GDP, right, gross domestic product index, it can suggest a potential slowdown, right, in consumer demand. And so, for example, if we have the recent UK GDP forecasted for 0.09 for 2025 by Morgan Stanley. And so when you look at the analysts who are looking at how our growth is going to go, these will help you in making your decisions. You don't need to make a decision based on the fact that you like it. And it's great that you like it, but does anybody else like it? Will anybody else buy it? And so that's why you want to make sure that even in your product or your service that you're selling, that you do a survey. We talked about that before. Survey your client base and make sure that you're meeting their current need. Because what you did last year might have been well, but what do they need this year? Where are there areas of constraint? Where is it that you can be supportive? If you're a consultant, how do I now make sure that the service I'm providing is what they need for today? And the only way to do that is to look at some of these indicators and then also poll and reach out to your client base. Sometimes we forget that our client base, our network is our net worth. We need to always be improving and working on our network so that we can continue to grow the business. And so we don't want to leave that behind. Another key economic indicator, along with the GDP, that we should be watching is the unemployment rate, right? Indicator of labor market health and consumer spending power. Listen, when people have jobs, they have money to spend. And so that whole labor market health is very important. When you are a business owner or entrepreneur and you're selling a product or service, you want to make sure that you have demand and that you have clients who not only need it, they can pay for it. And so with the unemployment rate, as you look at that as a key indicator, high employment rate may reduce demand for non-essential goods. Meaning if you're in a business where you are providing a service or a product that is non-essential, where it is a product or service that people would like to have, not have to have, a high employment rate may reduce their residual spending, which therefore would in turn result in potential decrease in the use of your product or service. So that's why it's so critical and important for you to know that, because they may no longer be able to put that as a top line item if the employment rate is high and they're having to make those kind of critical decisions. Again, another part, when it's a low unemployment, it may lead to wage inflation and hiring challenges. So again, you got to look at low unemployment may lead to wage inflation and hiring challenges for you as a business owner. We're talking about for you. Low employment, meaning people have a lot of options. So you have it on both sides. You got to think about it. High employment, that means that a high employment rate, it may reduce demand on your essential goods. And a low employment rate means people are needed. People are necessary and they can find other jobs in other places. And so that means your wages may have to increase, or you might have hiring challenges because people now have a lot of options. They have a lot of room to expand. They have a lot of places that they could go. And so that's why that unemployment rate is critical to you in your business, so that you can evaluate it as you need to, right? So that you can recognize, do I really need to make sure that I am training my resources, that I am giving attention to them as needed, that I am developing them individual. We talk about getting sticky employees. You want people who want to stay, who are loyal to the business, but also want to grow with you, right? The next very key economic index that you want to follow is inflation rate. So again, we talked about the gross domestic product index. We talked about the unemployment rate. You also want to look at the inflation rate. This is measuring the rising prices and erosion of purchasing power, right? As inflation raises, as prices raises, we buy less. Our same amount of money purchases less. And so a higher inflation leads to increased operating costs for you as a business owner. That means is the higher they go for the cost of goods and services, the higher it's going to cost you to purchase it as the business owner. The higher it's going to cost you to procure resources so that you can stay in business. And so then you also need to have some strategies. We're talking about strategies so that you can combat that. Strategies so that you can help combat inflationary pressures that come against you and your business, such as having to do pricing adjustments and efficiency improvements. How can I now get ahead of it? We really want to strategize so that we can be proactive, but watching those trends, watching those indicators can help us be ready to prepare our strategy plan. And so you got to think about it. How would inflation rates affect your pricing strategy? How would it? Whether it would be with one of your vendors, whether your partners, or whether your clients and those who leverage your service or product, how would inflation rates influence you? And then therefore, based on that information, get your team together and start strategizing a plan. The next we want to talk about, point number 4, is market insights and trends. So again, when you're looking at market You're looking at in your field of study how things are happening out in the marketplace. This can provide you some insights to help you inform some decisions, right? So example, we talked about the Morgan Stanley 2025 GDP revisions. Economic slowdown and labor concerns will impact the forecast. The U.S. economic trends. Federal Reserve signals on interest rates on potential affects our borrowing costs, right? So these kind of things, what's happening out in the market can affect how you make decisions and how your clients and customers make decisions. Sector-specific trends, right? Looking at impacts in your specific field and industry. If you're in retail, if you're in real estate, if you're in manufacturing, if you're in other lines of business, you've got to look at your specific sector and those trends that can influence how you move, that can influence how you navigate, that can influence how you operate with others. You want to make sure that you're doing that due diligence behind the scenes. All right. Next is we want to talk about some resources that you can go after. I just believe it's so important so that you're well-rounded as a business owner. You don't want to just know how to do your business. Let's just say that. You don't want to be limited and not have a purview, a broad perspective of how your business influence others, how your business influence your customer, how your business can add to even your current customers and then expand into some additional services. We talked about that, doing a survey of your current client base and what other product or services they feel they need. And then how can you in your business, how can you help facilitate that? Because what you do is you've added on another line, another stream of income. You've added another service or product that therefore can in return bring you revenue. And this is the thing. In most instances, what I found in some of our business, I'm still leveraging the same people. I'm still I might be reinventing a little bit of the process and procedure, but the opportunity to add another stream of income to what I'm already doing, the cost of it has been minimal. And you have a huge ROI, return on investment. It is a huge ROI to make a small minimal adjustment or to make a tweak and then have a new client base or then have a new product or service that you can now offer up to many. So we want to talk about this. Again, we want to make sure that you are staying informed. We want to make sure in this year that we are giving you information to help you stay informed. We want you to help stay attached to industry leaders that are within your sector, that are within your industry, so that you are tasking along with others, again, getting that more specific industry information and trends so that you can make good decisions as well. And we want to make data-driven decisions. We don't want to be moved by emotions. We want to be moved by data. And as we are led of the Lord, we want to be moved, right? And so some of the reference things that you can talk about, again, Conference Board Leading Economic Index, the LEI. This tracks future economic conditions. So again, the Conference Board Leading Economic Index, called the LEI. This tracks future economic conditions. Of course, you want to look at the Federal Reserve economic data. Again, that's called the FRED. You want to look at that because it is a comprehensive data resource for economic analysis. So again, if you don't have the time, like me, many of us are very busy. If you don't have the time to read through a whole lot of information, to really dive through it and do a lot of analysis on your own, leverage these tools that are already providing you with the summary, that are giving you analysis. And then you don't have to take the analysis and just use that only. You use several tools so that it validates the point here. Again, it's like threading the information. Okay, if this one said this other information up here should support it. And so that's how you thread your information so that you're making a well-rounded decision. Also, other tools that you can look at is the Wall Street Journal and government reports. Again, information that has already been captured about our economic status and our economic health. You can look at your own specific industry information and how it can be applied to your business and your team. What you want to do, again, is practical application and business strategies. So again, you're getting a wealth of information. Now what I do is executive pastor. Now what do I do with all the information I've gleaned? So again, information is power, but only if you use it. And so you want to take the information that you've gleaned, and then you want to empower yourself, empower your organization, empower your people to use it. And so one of the things that you can do as a group collaboratively is do some scenario planning. What do you mean? Prepare for different economic conditions, for growth, for recession, for inflation. You can think about those different scenarios and conditions and then prepare ahead by scenario planning. Hadn't happened, but it could. And if it did, what would we do? So this gets you ahead of any type of event or shifts. You already have a strategy and you've already gathered your team together, because I've learned this, and this is so true. I've learned this: when you do things in a more settled state, you have a more due diligence to make it without the influence of the moment that is happening. What happens when we make decisions when things are happening, a lot of times we are caught up in the emotion of the event, and we're not giving ourselves the moment that it takes to digest it and to breathe. We need to be able to take the information, digest it, and breathe. We want to take the information and be able to be analytical and use our emotional intelligence, right? So that we use our EQ as well as our IQ. Okay, we can also look at budget adjustments, align operational costs with the economic trend, right? As inflation is happening, you want to make sure that you are looking at the cost of your goods and services that may be having to be passed on to your clients, or your customers. You want to make sure that you are right pricing yourself with what you may have to be able to be charging, paying your vendors, your expense costs that might increase. Then you want to make sure that you're also leveraging that with the pricing of your services and your goods, right? So they're not outpricing yourself, so that you're coming out with residual, that you have a return on your service. So you want to make sure that you're adjusting your budget, both from an operational perspective, both as a sales perspective, so that it is fair and that you are moving swiftly. Sometimes we are slow. The economy and the economic trend is showing our goods and services are going up, and we're never adjusting our price. And so we wait all the way 6 months to the end of the year, and then we find ourselves upside down because we weren't watching the trends and we weren't making the adjustments. Yes, I know it's difficult to change your pricing, but there are times when it is necessary in order for you to stay solvent and stay in business. The business has to continue. And so when you have those good clients, you have the opportunity to communicate. We talk about communication is key. And so as you're reaching out to them, you explain what is happening. I've been to different places and I've seen the note where they said, unfortunately, our prices have had to increase due to the increase in cost for our product. And so it has to be passed on. But you need to be able to do that well. You want to be able to be judicious, right? Again, watching those early indicators so that you can make those shifts in a communicative fashion so that it is not shocking, so that your customers can go along the journey with you, so that you can explain what's happening. Listen, in the next 2 months, we'll have to increase this by $1 or whatever it might be, so that they have awareness of what's coming to change. Sometimes when we have a huge disruption, such as a price change or a delay in delivery or those kind of things that can happen, it creates consternation with our clients. And so if we are doing our communication, if we are doing our outreach, if we're having a customer behavior analysis, that was the next point, along with scenario planning, budget adjustment, doing our customer behavior analysis. This is going to help you anticipate, based on the economic conditions, how do I need to move with my customers? How do I need to move and navigate with my clients so that we go along in this economic change together? I don't want to lose them. I want to keep them, but I can't carry the whole weight. We've got to have a shared experience together. And so as my costs have increased, I've got to pass that along so that they have an increase, but I'm letting them know I'm paying more too, right? And so therefore, that's why I've had to increase on the cost to the goods and services that I am now affording to you. And so when you do this, I want to encourage you, have team collaboration, have team conversations so that you get the strength of collaborative effort. Collaboration not only adds, it multiplies. You get the multiplication of people who have experience and information that can help you supersede, help you stay ahead of whatever the economic trend is going to. And so we want to encourage you today that you have that kind of mindset. So sometimes you might want to do a small group discussion, maybe even get online with some other business owners and get a chat started. Also doing a client survey or a client forum and getting them together to just have an understanding about how would you feel if I raised the price by $2? How would you feel? How does this impact you? Explaining about the economy. So these are the kind of strategies to plan ahead. Hasn't happened, but it could. And so you want to talk about that. So even as we wrap up today's conversation, again, it's been a great opportunity. We are going into our new series, Understanding Economic Indicators, was today's topic, understanding what they mean to you, right? And how we can be strategic for 2025. And so even as we get ready to close out today, I want to encourage you to continue understanding economic indicators and how they can empower you to better make financial decisions. Do regular monitoring of key economic indicators, because they can enhance your business resilience. As you watch them, you're able to navigate, you're able to remain resilient and solve it. And then stay informed with credible resources and adapt to strategies accordingly. So again, look for credible resources and then make sure that you are adapting your strategy accordingly. You don't want to get 6 months down the road and find out everything had completely changed, but you didn't adapt your strategy. If you're tracking along, you can do that quickly. So again, subscribe to our podcast on Money Mondays on the Juice Radio and Talk Show. Here, we are so excited as you join us each and every Monday. And we want to encourage you to start tracking those indicators that are true to your business, your sector, your industry. And we want to encourage you that you don't forget to download, watch the Wall Street Journal. Everything right now is so easy to do electronically. So I know there was a time when it was difficult to get information, but most things are online. Even some of the online forums where we can join in with others who have similar interests as you, who are operating in your industry and field. I know we say we're busy, but we cannot be too busy to watch our business. We cannot be too busy to mind our business. And so I want to encourage you today, as I always do, to make sure that you're increasing in your awareness and you're using the information that we're disseminating appropriately. Information is only powerful when we use it. So peace and blessings to you on today. This is Executive Pastor Grant. I look forward to talking to you again. God bless you.